Hey there, it's Rennie here from loopstraps.com. Just wanted to give a quick review on these. They're the Helly Hansen Skagen F1s deck shoe. As always, did a bit of research as I love to do and couldn't find anything about them on the internet. No reviews that were valid, in my opinion. No real life experiences of how they performed, what they looked like, that type of stuff. There was a lot of shops kind of selling stuff. I'm a consumer. I like to kind of do my research, understand what I'm buying, and then kind of deep dive into that to kind of find a few reviews. I couldn't find any, so here we are. So I guess first things first. Why and where do I use them? So typically, when I'm out on boats, if it's a kind of a more of a casual thing, I don't really like to wear shoes. I just like to get barefoot if the weather's good enough, and that might be for some kind of cruising, or might be on a motor vessel or something similar to that. But when I do wear footwear, and that'll be in a race on like a Tuesday or a Sunday, in the pool Pyra or pool bay Pyra series, I typically wear a pair of trainers, pretty decent kind of average trainers of sorts, but they're always built up in terms of comfort and padding, etc. So I thought, okay, and the other thing is that my feet tend to get a little bit hot in them as well. So I thought I'd investigate what I could get in terms of some more kind of sailing footwear, and how that would measure up against my kind of deck shoes, which I don't actually like to wear, despite them being called deck shoes. From DeBarry, they're pretty decent. I don't really wear them because they're just not that flexible, and I'd like to have something that's quite tough on my foot in terms of it being strapped in, nice and tight, comfortable, that type of thing. So I did have originally some Musto Evolutions, which were fantastic. I really like the look of them. They're really decently made. The nice things in terms of you've got kind of drainage vents at the bottom, so the water comes in, it goes out the back, or down the bottom, as well as out the sides. They were just too wide for my foot. I have quite narrow feet. So this point to this point here was just a bit too wide for me. So I returned those after trialing them around kind of my home for a little bit on carpet. And then investigated a bit more and came across these. So the Helly Hansen Skagen F1s. Helly Hansen's a good brand. Used to have it as well when I was a kid, sailing dinghies and so forth. That was decent. So anyhow, yeah, picked these up, and this is the first kind of review of them of sorts. So far, I've kind of worn them around the house, that type of thing. Kept them inside, of course. So just testing to see if they actually fit, how they work, what's it like going up and downstairs, flexibility, that type of thing. And so far, they're pretty awesome. The one thing I will put as a caveat on that is that I did have a pair of 9s, first of all, and I am a 9, but they were just a tiny little bit too small for me. So I returned them and got a size 9.5, which I've got here. These, so they're just a little bit too big. So yeah, if there was something in between, that'd be fine. But these will be fine with a pair of socks. Or maybe they'll just mold a little bit and my feet will get back into them the right size. Anyhow, the comfort level of these is pretty good actually. They're flexible, so one thing that I notice, like if I'm working on the foredeck, which I typically do, I want that flexibility. I'm always on my toes, jumping from left to right, that type of thing. I always like them to be kind of quite tight as well, so typically I'd wear them without socks. I don't like socks in there. I like my feet to kind of breathe a little bit more, and it's a little bit easy in that sense when I'm doing things like that on the foredeck. So in terms of strapping these up and getting them quite tight, they're pretty decent. One thing I have noticed is this tongue sits really low in here. There's almost no tongue at all, which is really good because it means your ankle can kind of pivot forward quite a bit on here. Comfort wise, no chafing at all. No chafing. Pretty comfortable. Definitely in terms of the fabric and the way that they're designed, I can really feel air coming through this front part here, and on the inside parts here as well. So there's a really good amount of breathability within these, and maybe that works as well with the kind of drainability. So water, if you sat on the side of your yacht and wave comes over, gets you. Typically it does. Hopefully this gives a little bit of kind of drainage as well in that sense. Obviously you can take out the insoles in here as well and take those off after the race, etc., and let them dry, put them back in. So yeah, looking forward to kind of really giving them a go in a race this summer. I guess the other thing I wanted to kind of just touch on as well is design. I'm a big fan. I'm a design head in that sense, so I always like the way something looks, but also the way it kind of functions and the form, etc. So, yeah, design-wise, I think they look really good, look really cool. They've got some kind of nice style, and who doesn't want a bit of style on the waves? The only thing I'm perhaps not a massive fan of is logos, and perhaps this is a little bit kind of too right in your face. Maybe Helly Hansen should have shifted that to the back just to be a little bit more discreet in that sense. But colour-wise, they're really cool. Grip is one big thing that I noticed as well. So kind of up and down the stairs, and just rolling around on my wooden floor in the kitchen, etc., that type of thing, or throughout the bottom layer of the house. The grip is really good, actually. That's one thing I noticed on here. Maybe because there's a lot of contact as well, so there's not all of your kind of noggins, etc. There's a lot of kind of contact, just like you would expect in any kind of deck shoe in that sense. So yeah, that is my kind of review. I think they're pretty good. I'd love to hear if anyone has anything you want to drop in the comments or any questions about it. I'm quite happy to give some feedback on it in a couple of months' time. But yeah, one thing also to mention as well is that everything seems to be built and designed, constructed really well to the level that you would expect from Helly Hansen as well. There's some really good kind of construction in here. Yeah, I'm really impressed. They've kind of mixed that style and function quite well within this. So yeah, that's me. It's Renee from Loop Straps. If you didn't know what loop straps are, here you go. Here's an example. We make watch straps from recycled windsurf, kitesurf, and yacht tails. As you can see on this one, it's pretty funky. So if you do get a chance, please check us out. Do a self promo here, loopstraps.com. Thanks for listening.